Hi everyone, this is Mindy Eggen and welcome to my channel. In today's video, we are going to be taking a regular floral stamp and turning it into a Christmas card. And I just want to show you how you can really stretch your floral images if you are looking to create for the holiday season. I'll be walking you through my favorite way to do layering stencils with my floral images and also some tips and tricks for my ink blending to get the most dramatic look out of them. I will have all the supplies that I'm using today linked down below in the video description and over on my blog. And this video is also a part of a video hop with tons of inspiration and prizes. So, down below in that video description is also going to be a link to the next person in the hop. Now, to be entered to win, what I would like you to do is leave a comment down below, and I want you to leave the comment Christmas in July. That's going to help kind of catch the attention to be entered into the giveaway. So, without further ado, let's get started. The set that I'm going to be using today is the Build a Garden Blossoming Trio. I absolutely love the Build a Garden sets from Altenew. You can get the stamp set, there is a coordinating stencil, and also a coordinating die for the images and the sentiments. My go to technique when it comes to stamping images and then coloring them in with stencils is by stamping them in a lighter color of ink first. So I picked out two of the three blossoms. These are the two images that I thought would look nice, kind of bundled up in a bouquet on the front of my card project. So before I do any stamping, I am rubbing my hand over the stamps to remove any residual residue that might be there from the manufacturing. I'm going to ink it up. First, I usually would ink it up with like permanent gray ink from Altenew, but I think my ink pad needs to be re-inked, so I didn't get a very good impression. What I'll do is switch to limestone, and limestone is part of the rock collection from Altenew. It's just a light gray ink. Mainly, I want a light color that I'm not going to worry about transferring any of that ink when I start blending. So once I have those images stamped down in that light color, you could also use a light brown. I'm going to bring it over to my 9 by 12 sticky mat. On your stencils, there are going to be some etchings on there. They're dividers. And you're going to see some etchings that say stencil 1, 2, 3, or 4. They're also going to have letters on them. So on the stamp set, which I apologize is off on the side a little bit there, it is labeling the flowers A, B, and C. And on the stencil, it'll say A1, A2. So what I decided to do is actually take a pen and put the letter A and B next to those corresponding images. So it just makes it quicker. I don't have to keep going back to my stamp set to reference that. And then I can bring in the coordinating stencil for each of those flowers. The collection that I decided to go with first is going to be Red Sunset, and they're a bundle of four colors that work together very well, starting from lightest and then going down to darkest. When I'm doing my ink blending, I like to start with a very light color first. In this case, I did start with blush and decided that was too light. I wanted these to really be a red color. So I came in with rouge using a small blending brush. That's going to be, we'll call it my base layer. I almost always start with a base layer of color. Then I'm going to come in around the edges of that using a darker color. In this case, it's going to be crimson. And I will work my way between mini and micro blending brushes. The micro blending brushes are really nice and tiny. They help me get into those small little areas so that I can really kind of concentrate on the edges of those flowers. Building up that dark color in the corner of the flowers and the edge of the petals is really what is going to make this floral image pop. I will use that same technique for all of the petals. So some of the ink blending I will show you, and then some of it I will show you the reveal. But it's really about practicing this technique and playing with the different size of blending brushes. Now, the area that I'm applying the darkest color to is really where I would envision a shadow area being, or the darkest part of the flower being, mainly when there are flowers overlapping or right next to it. Because I really want to kind of distinguish the different petals. That is also what really helps make this image pop. On this stencil, there were two layers for flower A, and there's two layers to the stencil for flower B. So I'm working on flower B right now, doing that same process of adding a light color first and then working my way up. Now, once in a while, I will find that maybe I can just skip a color and jump to the darkest color, just depending on the look that I'm going for. So you can already see as I'm removing the stencil, the amazing depth and dimension that this is creating. And this is my happy zone. This is where I really love to take the time to blend, take the time to go through all of those extra steps to add in those dark colors. Now, my bottom flower, I didn't mask it off very well, and I did get a little bit of red on my petal, and I'm hoping to fix that when I come to the ink blending for the leaves. Now, on one of the stencils here, it does have areas for the petals and then also an area for the leaves. So I am using Post-it tape. You can use Post-it notes to mask off your areas so you don't transfer that color. And then before I move on to the next set, so in this case, the leaves, I make sure to wipe off all of that excess ink. The color grouping that I'm using for my leaves is called Green Meadows. I start with a sweet leaf, and because these are smaller and there's not a lot to them, I'm going to just jump right into Hunter Green. The other thing you also want to keep in mind is your pressure. So I start with that darkest color there, not pushing down very hard. It's very lightly brushing over the cardstock. And then once I kind of get an idea how the color is applying. Sometimes your ink pads can be super juicy. So I like to be able to build up that dark color. Now, I'm hoping that as you're watching this video and listening to the tips that I share with my ink blending process, that these help you in your ink blending. It's really about practice, getting to know your different size brushes because they are super helpful in your craft room when you're working with stencils, and also learning your pressure, really kind of focusing on how hard you are pressing or how far in to go. A lot of times I am not going in that far. You can see where I'm creating kind of some highlights in the center. Now, in this next leaf, this is where the red ink had kind of transferred on, and I wanted to really step up the ink blending to hide that. Well, I did that. I added quite a bit of that dark green ink around the edges. And then when I removed the stencil, it kind of stood out like a sore thumb from the rest of the leaves. It's gorgeous. All of them are gorgeous. But I decided to bring that other layer back in and step up those shadows as well with that darker color. But also keep in mind that your ink is going to dry back, meaning it's not going to look as vibrant. Think of it as if you wet a towel. The colors are going to look different whether it is dry versus being wet. Now all of my ink blending is done. This is absolutely stunning as it is. I actually had a really hard time adding my black lines back in, which is what I would typically do. But for video purposes, to show you my normal process, I am going to bring it back to my Stamp Wheel 2.0. I had left all of my stamps in there just as they were when I originally stamped it. And this time I am inking up the images with Obsidian ink. So that is going to add our black lines back in, and it does really make everything pop. But if you wanted that more kind of artistic look, you could have left it without adding the black lines. Now, once I give that ink a little bit of time to dry because it is a pigment ink, so it stays wet a little longer, then I'll go ahead and die cut them out with the coordinating die. In the beginning of the video, I mentioned taking any of your floral stamps and turning them into the Christmas card. And how I am deciding to do that is by using traditional Christmas colors. Of course, you don't have to use traditional, but it definitely is a standout point. So that is why I really wanted those flowers to be a nice, bright, vibrant red. The other thing I'm doing is taking Hunter Green, I believe it is, yes, Hunter Green cardstock, and I'm ink blending the edges with a large blending brush, and I was using evergreen ink. Now, it did dry back a little bit in the picture, so I would also suggest maybe going around it very lightly with black ink. The other thing I'm doing, of course, to tie this into being a Christmas card is adding a Christmas sentiment. And I wanted this to be a nice skinny strip sentiment, so I am using the same Hunter Green cardstock. I have a sentiment from Festive Triangles, which is actually a previously released set. I stamped it onto the Hunter Green cardstock using my Versamark ink, and then sprinkle on gold embossing powder and heat set that. Then I take that to my mini trimmer and trim that down to a thin strip. I'm arranging my bouquet on the front of my card just like how I want it. So the smaller flower is kind of peeking out from the back. I added a little bit of tape runner behind my larger flower to just kind of tack it together for now so it stays in place. And then I added foam tape to the back to pop it up on the front of my card. Before I add my sentiment, I want to do some splatters. I want to have some gold sparkle and shimmer in here. So I have the metallic watercolor set from Altenew. I added a couple drops of water to the gold and then just very carefully adding splatters going from one corner down at the bottom up to the other corner in the top. So you can see where you have a visual what do we want to say? Not a visual triangle, but it's visually drawing your eye in from the corners to the center, which is going to be my where my sentiment goes. And a fun little idea I had was taking my sentiment and going around just the very outer edges using the evergreen ink. So it's that really nice dark green ink. And I'm using a micro blending brush. So you'll see the final results for that in just a minute. I do want to pop up my sentiment. So I am using some of the, I think it's the 1/16th thickness of foam squares from Altenew. These are brand new. They have some already pre-cut into squares and small strips for you. So I went ahead, added that to the back of my sentiment, and then I'm going to place this on the front of my card. Now, normally I would go with a bottom corner, but I really liked it in the center because that is how I did my splatters to kind of draw your eye into the center there. I am so happy with how this turned out. I don't even think you can tell where my red ink is on that leaf, so I think I was able to cover up that little mistake. So again, I hope these tips in my blending and stamping help you in your card making and also kind of gives you ideas on how to stretch your floral stamps. Don't forget to leave a comment down below, Christmas in July, to be entered into the giveaway. Thank you so much for spending time with me today, and I'll see you again soon in the next crafty video.